Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I hope everybody's morning is going great. Mine is. And yesterday was a crazy day. Honestly, I picked the Boston Uprising to beat the Philadelphia Fusion, but after that first set they played on Wednesday, I wasn't feeling very confident, I'm not gonna lie. But after yesterday, obviously that first set, Boston Uprising was looking really good. But what exactly happened going into that second set? Why weren't they able to pull it off? I don't know. We're going to talk about it in this video, and we're also going to cover Team USA roster scandal, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Fissure situation. I know we covered it 2 days in a row, so we're not going to focus on it that much in this video, but I will give you guys a couple updates and just a couple thoughts that I have. And yes, you did hear me correctly there, guys. Team USA roster scandal. Apparently Sleepy is accusing Aero and the management of not picking the best possible roster. We also have the London Spitfire and the LA Gladiators coming up against each other tonight. That's going to be an exciting one. Hopefully London Spitfire can bring it back and maybe make it a competitive series. That would be great. If not, well, you know, rest in peace, London. You look good in stage 1, but that's it. And that's going to be the video for today, guys. If you're new around here, do not forget to drop a like on it. Subscribe to my channel for more daily Overwatch and Overwatch League content. And let's just go ahead and hop into it. I think we'll go ahead and start off with the fresh news and drama coming from Team USA and Sleepy. So apparently he doesn't think the USA roster was selected properly. And sure, some of you guys could say, oh, maybe he's just butthurt because he didn't get picked. He's saying it wasn't just about his role. So just go ahead and watch the clip here, boys.
Did not. Thanks for the 2 months, though. To go back on what I said, though, someone asked me a month ago, or like a couple weeks ago, before the roster was picked, if they thought USA, like they asked me if I thought USA stood a chance against Korea this year, and I said if the roster was picked properly, I think there's a chance, and it's like a 30 to 40% chance, if maybe a little less, maybe like, yeah, probably like 30% chance, but I would like to go back on that now and say that I don't think the roster was picked properly, so I worry about it now.
How are you today?
And I don't say not picked properly in just my role. I think the roster wasn't picked properly to the optimal standards in other spots as well, but I'm not going to go into that.
Damn, that's pretty crazy, man. Sleepy just being really open here, coming out and saying he doesn't like the Team USA roster. He doesn't think it's selected to the best ability. I like his boldness. It's definitely crazy, and obviously it gives me something to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm kind of wondering if he's talking about exactly the final 12 going to the final 7, or before that, the actual final 12, because I feel like he's more so talking about the final 12 and then maybe like 1 or 2 decisions for the final 7. So let's go back and look at the final 12. We have Muma, McGravy, Super, and Space. I don't see any issues with the main tank, but looking at the off tanks, there's Space and McGravy. There was a lot of question around McGravy and why he was there. I understand that Space probably, even if Cool Matt was there or anybody else was there, Space would get the spot. That makes sense to me. But, you know, it's a little weird that McGravy's there, especially when Cool Matt has just been such a consistent and strong off-tank for the entire Overwatch League. This definitely could be something Sleepy's talking about. I'm not going to say it is, but that's something in the back of my mind, and I know you guys thought about it too. Now, moving on to the DPS, for the final 12, we have Dante, Sinatra, Hydration, Zachary. The first thing we notice is there is a lack of a Widow player. None of these guys are solid Widow players, or at least in the past have shown that they are solid Widowmakers. Sure, Sinatra's played it, Zach's played it, Dante's played it, but none of them have really played it. Where is the Widowmaker? That is a huge flaw in this roster, and if you ask any Overwatch League player or any American player in the Overwatch League, they will tell you this is where Team USA dropped the ball. There is no Widow player. Now, if we go all the way back to the original tryouts for Team USA, where they did those 4 different teams under the president's names, Abraham, George, Thomas, and Teddy, looking at all of the players, there honestly wasn't that much of a selection for Widow players. There's Corey, who plays for the LA Gladiators Legion. He's a good Widowmaker. There's Baby Bay, who plays for the San Francisco Shock. He's a good Widowmaker. And I mean, that's honestly it, guys. The other players who didn't make it listed in the tryouts is Baby Bay, Corey, and Silk Thread. That's it. Those 3 players. Other than that, they picked Zachary, Sinatra, Dante, and Hydration. So you can't help to wonder, why didn't they just drop Dante or Zachary for either Baby Bay or Corey? It just doesn't make sense to me. Who do they think is going to be their Widowmaker player, especially in a meta right now where Widow is the most dominant hero? And I understand World Cup is going to be, you know, in a few months. It's not just around the corner. It's a long tournament. There's going to be different metas. And maybe Widowmaker's not in the meta, and Arrow's a genius for predicting that. But, you know, we're in a meta right now where Widowmaker is prevalent, and we've had metas where specific heroes are strong for years. For example, Diva, Tracer, those heroes, they were in meta for a very long time before they dropped out. Even Diva is still in the meta. So to say that you know 100% Widowmaker is going to drop out, that's a pretty bold prediction. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're just saying this, Michael, because you were teammates with Baby, but honestly, why didn't he make this roster? Seriously, drop Zachary or drop Dante. Sinatra and Dante are going to be used pretty much to the same level in this team. They overlap each other's hero pools. You don't need them both. And then for Zachary, I feel like he's kind of just here because he's in contenders and they wanted a contenders player on the roster. He's not going to play. Yes, Zachary's good. I'm not saying he's not good. But he's not at the level of hydration when it comes to projectile, and he's not at the level of Sinatra when it comes to hit scan and other things. Baby should be on this roster just in case you do need that Widowmaker. Hell, fine, if you want to call me biased, take Corey then. Just go with a Widowmaker player. That's a huge problem here. And of course, the best argument to my point of view here is that, oh, well, Sinatra can just practice it, you know? He's going to work on his Widowmaker from now until World Cup, which is fair. That's a valid argument, and I understand that. But, you know, nothing beats 6 months of playing in the Overwatch League and practicing a freaking hero called Widowmaker. You gotta understand, there was no harm for them to take Baby over Zachary or over Dante. No harm at all. Just put him on the roster just in case. That's the smart thing to do. If you want to run Sinatra and have him practice Widowmaker, albeit, go ahead, please do. But just in case that doesn't work out, have a fallback plan. Have an actual Widowmaker on the side who can come in if Sinatra can't handle it. Because now, if we go into a World Cup situation where Sinatra wasn't able to pick up the Widowmaker to his best ability, he could possibly get embarrassed. Like, seriously, guys, I'm talking hard embarrassed. Way worse than he did last year in the World Cup, which wasn't even that bad. This time it would be just bad. And I'm not just saying this because I don't have faith in Sinatra. Like, I do. He's a great player. Maybe he'll be insane at Widowmaker. But guys, look at his freaking competition on Widowmaker when we start to get to the really good teams in the World Cup. Like, it's scary as hell. I mean, let's just go through them. Starting off with Team Finland, you have Taimu and Linkser. Whatever one you get, it's going to be insanely hard. Then let's look at France. They have Soon. The guy in stage 4 was just incredible at Widowmaker. Then looking at Team Canada, their rival, Surefour, like, you guys are starting to see what I'm talking about now, right? Look at Team Korea. There's Carpe, Sabiobi. Like, these are some serious threats on the Widowmaker. These guys are insane. And I don't think anybody can convince me in any way possible right now that Sinatra could go head-to-head with any of these guys on Widowmaker. Not a chance. Maybe with some practice for 3 months, possibly, but still, it's looking grim, guys. So that's my point of view here when it comes to the Widowmaker situation and the DPS overall for Team USA. I know that was a long talk, but let's go to move on now and talk about the supports. So obviously, a lot of people were surprised when Sleepy wasn't selected to partner up with Moth in the top 7. This caught me a little off guard. I honestly thought there's no way that, you know, Raucus could make it, simply based because of the experience and teamwork that Sleepy and Moth would have together. Also with Dante, Sinatra, Super on the roster as well, that's just a ton of synergy that you would probably want to have. And when he wasn't picked, I was a little surprised, but, you know, I trusted Arrow. I was like, all right, you know, he sat there, he watched the scrims, he brought the Dallas field back from the brink of death. I'm going to put faith in him, and I'm going to believe that Raucus was the right decision. But as time went on, a lot of people voiced their opinions and complained, and I started to come around and see, you know, maybe Sleepy was the better player. Arrow's reasoning for picking Raucus honestly just came down to him saying that he wanted a player that could communicate and lead the team at a higher level. And again, I understood that at the time when he said it, but now looking back, it's like, I don't know, because Sleepy's saying, and a lot of the San Francisco Shock players are saying, that Sleepy was a core part of the communication and teamwork when it came to the San Francisco Shock in the later stages of the Overwatch League. So how much more could Raucus really bring to the table when it comes to communication and leadership? I'm not accusing Arrow of favoritism at all. I honestly do believe that Arrow thinks this is the best roster possible. I just think, you know, he might have not picked the right one, and Sleepy seems to agree with me. And let's be honest, guys, Sleepy overall in the Zenyatta is incredible. He was such like a sleeper pick in the Overwatch League, no pun intended there. He didn't get much credit that he deserved. I know there was sometimes discussions about how Sleepy was underappreciated on Reddit and that he deserves more credit. The guy is very similar to like a Jonak, but you know, the Western version. And I do agree with all of those, man. Ever since the preseason, like he was super consistent the entire season. I honestly can't remember specific matches or like a specific stage where Sleepy just slumped and played really bad. He was super consistent and super great. When I look at Raucus, there was times where he did slump. There was matches where he didn't play that great. Looking at stage 3, overall, the Houston Outlaws, they weren't that good. And I do think the reason to that was because Raucus wasn't performing to his best ability. Even going into stage 4, Raucus, he wasn't all that of like a, I wouldn't say he played bad, but he wasn't like a Zenyatta that stood out. Sleepy always stood out. And a lot of the times, Raucus just looked pretty average, middle of the pack, maybe even bottom of the middle of the pack. Now, of course, again, we didn't see the trials that Aero and the management saw, and apparently all of them agree on the roster picks. They think this is the best team possible, and I do want to trust them, but when a player who was a part of the trials comes out and says, I don't think the roster was picked to the best ability, and then you actually start to look at it and you start thinking about things, it doesn't seem like it was picked to the best ability. And I'm not taking shots at Aero. Again, I love the guy. He really did turn the Dallas Fuel season around, and I am forever grateful for that, and I know a lot of other fans are to the Dallas Fuel. He seems to be a really good coach and knows what he's doing, but he might have just missed the ball here. And honestly, I guess time will only tell here. I'm not going to go super hard here. I think I got pretty in depth with this though, and why the roster might not have been picked to the best ability. And that's pretty much it. Let me know down below what you guys think about this whole situation. Do you think Sleepy might be overreacting? Do you think I'm overreacting? Or do you agree the roster might not be the best roster that they could have made? Who knows? Let us know down below, and let's move on. Okay, and now to finally talk about the games a little bit. I know I haven't really covered them up until this point, and honestly, I wanted to cover that first day, but then, you know, as time went on, the drama with Fissure and Slasher was going on, and honestly, those games really weren't all that competitive. They weren't that great, so I didn't feel the need to talk about them. So I guess we can go back to Wednesday real quick. We did see the Boston Uprising and Philadelphia Fusion face off first. Again, it wasn't all that close. Sure, Boston did put up a fight on 2 of the maps, which was Oasis and Eichenwald. They actually did win Oasis 2-1. That one was close. And obviously Eichenwald, that one was close. It went on to overtime. As for the Dorado map and Volskaya, wasn't close at all. I expect Boston Uprising to actually win Volskaya because they were freaking 10-0 basically on it in the entire Overwatch League, and they just got first held by Philadelphia Fusion. Philadelphia Fusion overall, they had some interesting strategies. They were running Hotba and he was playing like Tracer and stuff. Definitely unexpected. I think it caught Boston Uprising off guard, but overall just seemed like Boston was underperforming. Mistakes, he didn't really have that great of a set, which might have been a little expected, but what was unexpected was Striker. Striker looked pretty mediocre, and there was just no star play from them. And I feel they just couldn't match the firepower from EQO and Carpe. That was the issue to me in the first set, and that was why they lost. Then we moved on to that second set, which I'm not really going to cover. It was a 3-0 LA Gladiators destroyed the London Spitfire. We'll cover that more tomorrow's video after the set tonight. Maybe London can make a comeback. Hopefully, who knows. But that's it for Wednesday. Now moving on to the matches yesterday. These ones were much more exciting because Boston Uprising obviously came out and won that first set. It was unexpected. I didn't see them coming out and doing that, and they honestly just had a ton of firepower that they didn't have on Wednesday. Mistakes and Striker were popping off. Striker's Widowmaker was incredible. He was outpicking Carpe left and right, and he was just hitting some incredible shots. If you guys watched yesterday, you saw them. As for mistakes, his Hanzo was like 10 levels better than it was on the first day. I was actually shocked at how well he was playing in this first set. They came out firing Junkertown. Really close map. They did win it though. Moved on to Lijiang Tower, and this one wasn't close at all, and I was surprised. Boston Uprising really took it to the Philadelphia Fusion here, and they went up into the series 2-0. I was like, wow, you know, we're going to see a freaking second series. This is what I was hoping for. This is what the fans want. Exciting playoff matches. We went on to Kings Row, Philadelphia Fusion. They did pick it up. It was somewhat close, but then we finally went on to Hanamura, Boston Uprising. They might not have had the best record here, and Philadelphia Fusion did have the best record, but they came out on top. Again, Striker, mistakes, they looked really good. Note as well, he played great. Just everybody overall in the Boston Uprising had a really good set here. And this forced that second series, and I was super excited. I honestly thought Boston Uprising were going to take it. I didn't see any reason as to why they were going to fall off and not play as good as they were for the first set. And Philadelphia Fusion, they were just really struggling. I don't know exactly what the issue was. It just seemed like they were disconnected. Their teamwork wasn't that great. Carpe wasn't playing that great. EQO obviously wasn't either. They just overall as a team needed to play tighter and have better individual performances. And, you know, we went into Junkertown, the same thing happened. The Boston Uprising played even better this time on Junkertown than in the first set, so it was looking really good for them going into Lijiang Tower. I honestly thought it was over, but Philadelphia Fusion, they caught fire. Out of nowhere, they got life, and they took it to the Boston Uprising on Lijiang Tower. First round was somewhat close, second one wasn't at all, and this is where we saw the Philadelphia Fusion just kick it into high gear, and it just wasn't close anymore. It wasn't at all. Eichenwald and Hanamura went in favor of the Philadelphia Fusion, like, massively. And honestly, it just seemed like everything started to click. As I said, individually and as a team, they weren't playing good. And now they were. Neptuno was popping off. This guy, oh, and actually, forget about Neptuno real quick. Let's talk about Calyx. This guy, I feel like he single-handedly almost lost this set for the Boston Uprising. He was dead every single team fight, like the first 10 seconds in. It was so sad to see. I was honestly pulling my hair out because I did pick the Boston Uprising. I did want them to win this set. I wanted, I don't know, I just couldn't believe that Calyx was dying so much so early on, and he cost them the set. I don't want to blame one player single-handedly. Obviously, they could have played better as a team. They fell apart, and just like Mistakes wasn't having that level of performance that he did in the first set. Even for Striker, he wasn't playing as good either. So, you know, I can't fully blame one player, but I feel like he was at the center of it. If he didn't die so much, he could have helped this team stay alive longer, and they could have had better team fights. I don't know. Calyx really just disgusted me in that last set. Let me know down below if you guys agree with me. I feel like you do. There's no way, like, just watching that, seeing him die every team fight was so frustrating. Gah. Anyways, Philadelphia Fusion, as I said, they turned it up. Neptuno, he had some amazing play. Apparently, he was sick too, so kudos to him, and kudos to the Philadelphia Fusion just coming into that third series, adapting just like the Boston Uprising did in the second one. It was a really exciting series. Overall, I'm happy with what happened. And yeah, I mean, I am a little disappointed that the Boston Uprising did lose. I'm a little mad at Calyx, but overall, you have to give a round of applause for this team and their performance. They really were coming into the league so underrated. They got so much crap from the community for just not having that great or known of a roster. I had a feeling they would perform decent and possibly make the playoffs. At the end of the day, this is kind of where I expected to see them. They did make an incredible run during Stage 3. They had the longest win streak out of any team in all of Overwatch League. They went undefeated in a stage. I mean, you got to give your hats off to them. What they did was incredible. Even losing Dreamcast for throughout the season, but still maintaining that win streak. Insane. So round of applause for the Boston Uprising. We'll probably make a video on them sometime during the off season and how incredible their run was. But that's going to be it for the Boston Uprising, guys. And now we have the Philadelphia Fusion moving on to the semifinals in the Overwatch League playoffs, taking on New York Excelsior. That should be interesting. We're not going to get into that yet. We'll talk about it some other day. So that's it for Philly and Boston for the quarterfinals, or whatever you want to call this round. Today, we have the LA Gladiators and London Spitfire. Hopefully, we can see some of the same magic from London Spitfire that Boston had. I want to see a fun and close set. If not, whatever, at least we get to see LA versus LA in the semis, right, boys? And yeah, that's going to be it. Let me know all your guys' thoughts about the matches yesterday and so far in the Overwatch League down below in the comments. And now let's move on and talk a little bit about Fissure and Slasher. Damn, this is a pretty long video, huh? We're sitting here at about the 18-19 minute mark. Haven't really had one of these lately. I've been trying to keep them a little bit short, but it's long overdue because there's just so much to talk about lately. And going into the Slasher and Fissure situation, I just want to briefly say, like, if you guys are still sitting here and commenting on my videos, calling me absolutely dumb and delusional for defending Slasher, like, you're so biased in this situation. Please open your mind and look at it from everybody's perspective. There is plenty of reasons as to why Fissure would want to lie here and bend the truth. It's for the best interest of his career. Like, how can you not understand that? And I know I'm kind of ranting a little bit here, but like, come on guys, please don't just blindly follow Fissure because he's your favorite player. Before you know it, he's gonna be out of LA playing for another team. He literally admitted to everyone that he did say to the LA Gladiators that he would be interested in leaving the team for a full Korean roster. He said it himself. So how can you sit here and say, oh no, that's not what he meant, you know, he doesn't want to leave the team? Like, what? The proof is in the pudding. He said it himself. He just worded it in a way to where it seemed like, oh, he's innocent and he doesn't want to leave and he's the nice guy. No, guys, he's just covering face. I just find it crazy how somebody like XQC, who is friends with Fissure has said multiple times before and during the Overwatch League that XQC was the best main tank in North America. So Fissure and XQC are literally friends. XQC likes the guy. Fissure has praised him so much, so you think he would defend Fissure, right? And then on top of that, XQC hates Slasher. Absolutely, they are not friends. They do not like each other. So if XQC, who hates Slasher and is friends with Fissure, can be unbiased in this situation and give the honest truth, I don't see how everybody else can. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'm done ranting. That's gonna be the video. If you guys did make it this far, be sure just spam a bunch of hearts down in the comments. I'll give you a heart back. And yeah, thank you for making it this far. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, also drop a like on the video. Those help so much. And I'm gonna be out of here, guys. Peace.